Well, I think it's time, isn't it?
Yes, since we, I think, have a critical mass, let's get started. Thank you everyone for coming. Good afternoon or good morning, I think, depending on where you're at, to the Best Practices for the Advancement and Inclusion of Women in STEM and National Security webinar series presented by CRDF Global's Women in Science and Security Initiative. The first segment of the webinar series will focus on CRDF Global's recently published Best Practices Guide, which was written by myself, Sylvia Mishra, and Kate Hewitt. As an introduction, CRDF Global was founded in 1995, and we are an independent nonprofit organization that promotes international scientific and technical collaboration through grants, resources, trainings, and services. And originating in Arlington, Virginia, we have growing offices in the Eurasia and MENA regions. And CRDF Global works with more than 40 countries in the Middle East, North Africa, Eurasia, Asia, and the Western Hemisphere. Specifically, I also wanted to introduce our Women in Science and Security Initiative team. And we are an initiative that aims to support and spearhead equity efforts for women around the world, including subject matter experts, professors, and leaders. And our efforts have included events such as our Breaking Barriers Roundtable, which usually happens once a year, barring COVID situations, webinar series such as this one, and then publications such as the Best Practices Guide that we will be using as a reference for our discussion today. And before passing it off to our awesome moderator today, Dr. Nilsu Goren, I also would like to give a short introduction for her. Dr. Goren has over 15 years of international experience at various think tanks and non-governmental organizations, including the Turkish Coalition of America, Federation of American Scientists, and James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation Studies. Her main area of expertise is Turkish foreign and security policymaking. She has written and presented extensively on nuclear weapons, nuclear security, non-proliferation regimes, and missile defense as they relate to Turkey, Europe, and the Middle East. Dr. Goren earned her master's in political science from Sabancı University in Istanbul and a PhD in public policy from the University of Maryland.
Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. It is so wonderful to see old friends and make new ones. Welcome to our session today, where we will be introducing you to our wonderful women who are going to be providing us perspectives on the best practice guide and also their experiences in the field. The idea here is for us to maximize your interactions with the speakers. So we are planning for a session of 10 to 15 minute question sessions after each speaker. And please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A chat box at any time. And if you have a question that you would like to direct to one of our speakers, please indicate their name in the chat box. As Kimmy mentioned, I have the pleasure of serving as your moderator today, and we are going to be hearing from the two co-authors of the Best Practices Guide that CRDF Global produced, as well as two alumni of the CRDF Global Women Advanced Program, and last but not least, our 2020 Robin Copeland Memorial Fellow from Turkey. So without further ado, I would like to introduce each of our speakers very briefly before we turn over to them and learn about how they have gotten into their fields. And I'm going to start with Dr. Ban Isam Abdulrazak, who is an Iraqi scientist with a specialty in vet medicine. She is currently a senior veterinary consultant and the head of department for the Corporation of Research and Industrial Development. Dr. Abdulrazak is also an alumni of our 2019 cohort of Women Advanced Mentorship Program, and she focuses on veterinary treatments as well as research in the field. Next, we are going to be joined by Ms. Asan Abdulkarim, who is an undergraduate educator and lecturer in biology. Ms. Abdulkarim has been teaching in public and private universities and has extensive research experience in biomedical research and medical sciences. Hence, our addition of the last M to the STEM field, not only science, technology, and education, but also engineering, but also medicine. And she is also an expert in chemical and biological safety and security. Much like Dr. Ban, Asan is also a participant of the 2019 cohort of our Women Advanced program. And next we will be joined by Fadime Özge Özkan, who was, and she still is, our 2020 Robin Copeland Memorial Fellow from Turkey. Özge is a research assistant at the Nuclear Research Division of Istanbul Technical University, where she received her Master's of Science in Nuclear Engineering, and she is currently a PhD student and a researcher at the same university, Istanbul Technical University's Energy Institute. Last but not least, we will be hearing from the two wonderful co-authors of the Best Practices Guide. First, we will be hearing from Sylvia Mishra. Sylvia is a doctoral researcher at the Department of Defense Studies at King's College London, and she focuses on nuclear strategy and non-proliferation with a particular focus on South Asian security issues and emerging technologies. Sylvia, I'm sure many of you know her with her wonderful work for the CBRN Working Group of the Women of Color Advancing Peace and Security Initiative. And Sylvia is also a mid-career cadre scholar at the Center for Strategic and International Studies under the PONI program. And she has held various fellowship positions, including organizations such as Nuclear Threat Initiative. And so, last but certainly not least, my wonderful co-moderator, Kimi, is going to be introducing a chapter from the Best Practices Guide. Kimi is a project associate at CRDF Global, but she actually first started as an intern in our health and biosecurity department, and given her background in CBRN issues, she has served on various teams at CRDF Global. Prior to that, she also served as a senior coordinator for the Women in Science project mentoring program. Currently, Kimi is one of our co-leads for the Women in Science and Security initiative that brings you to this webinar. So before turning to our wonderful speakers for their presentations, we would like to start with the introduction from each of our speakers on hearing a little bit from them about how they first became involved in the industry. And I would like to turn to Dr. Ban for her brief remarks.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ban Isam. I graduated from Baghdad University, College of Veterinary Medicine. I am a senior consultant now in the Ministry of Industry and Minerals. First, I'd like to speak how I got involved in this kind of practice, or how I became, how I took this practice as a specialty. Well, at first, I liked animals. I really like animals, and all my parents and sister-in-law, we all like animals. So I entered the College of Vet Medicine. Now I have 4 cats. So when I entered the college, in Iraq, there is a belief, there's a society belief that the vet medicine is really difficult for women, really a specialty that is difficult for women. When I entered the college, I really like animals. I hoped I could be specialized in diagnosing the, diagnose and cure animals, but because I entered in the 90s to college, I mean, it has been such a period, a long period. So I had to transfer my specialty or my practices to something occurred to the same or had the same, practice, which is researches in veterinary medicine. I worked hard in it. I really worked hard because I turned my specialty route into the items involved in the same practice, which is research in veterinary medicine. I started from the beginning. First, I was in Pasteur Institution, which was involved in vaccines and antigens, and and we made kits for diagnosing diseases like typhoids and brucellosis and something. So it is a little bit first step to my practice. Then I went to plant extraction, another institute, which is Ibn Bitar, plant extraction methods and anti-tetanus researches and something like that. Then I transferred into veterinary medicine researches, which I made many and a lot of researches, including production and researches and production of veterinary medicine, because actually the veterinary medicine research that I work in right now, my researches in it, I develop my researches in it, is the only one in Iraq. Before these days, we used to export to Jordan and to Dubai a lot of our medicine that we made in Iraq. So at first I had difficulties. I really faced professional and personal difficulties in life. But I think, nowadays is a little bit more proper, or a little bit better. They believe that the vet, they don't prefer a woman to practice veterinary medicine. They prefer men for it. And even when I get accepted at the college, they say, "Oh, how are you going to do? How are you going to cope with this? Cope with that? It's very, it is very difficult, and you are not very accepted in the society as a veterinary medicine." Actually, all women working in medical practice in Iraq, they have certain difficulties with society, with life. We are parents, we have families to take care of, and etc., etc. But with hard work, I made them achieve. I achieved my work, and I made them recognize my work. So I achieved what I am right now, and I got to what I am right now, which is a senior consultant and doing researches in vet medicine. I conducted and participated in many conferences in Iraq. The last one was last year in Erbil about implementation of nanotechnology. And that was the last one. I also planned many exhibitions and patent exhibitions. And I think that, so I can say that well, you see, we had that a problem, I think, because in the previous days, the days when a previous regime, we didn't have a contact with the outside world. We are so isolated. But nowadays, when we had many contacts with the universities and not universities, any other technology institute, or I mean, we had contact with the outside world and see how the world, where it has become through, where has it become to, the technology, the advanced technology, and others and others. Now, I think it's not very, but a little bit better, and that's all. Thank you.
Dr. Ban, I can assure you that all the animal lovers on this call are grateful for your perseverance in the field, and welcome to the webinar. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Now turning to Asan for how you got involved in biomedicine.
Sure. First, hello everyone.
Hello.
I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to participate in this talk or discussion with this amazing group of very accomplished women. And also thank you for CRDF, as always, for providing us with such opportunities. So I want to start introducing myself by saying my name is Asan. I have a bachelor's degree in biology and a master's degree in medical biology with a subspecialization in medical microbiology. I have started working in science right after I graduated college. I worked as a research assistant in the same university that I graduated from. And after that, after I got my master's degree, I started teaching the undergraduate level students in the same university again, but currently transferring in the middle of transferring my workplace. So I'm teaching at the same university, co-university, but also at American University of Iraq. I am teaching courses related to medical biology mostly, such as general biology, medical microbiology, immunology, virology, and such courses. So because I'm working in microbiology mainly as my research domain, I had to do a lot, and I had to teach myself and look for opportunities to strengthen my biosecurity and biosafety expertise and knowledge. And I think chemical safety and security goes hand in hand with biosecurity and biosafety as well. So automatically I got many training, and I participated in some like trainings and workshops related to chemical security and chemical safety. And I'm also working as a lab manager at the moment besides teaching, because we just opened a new program, Medical Lab Sciences. So I'm managing the lab, I'm helping in establishing the labs, and I'm mostly responsible for the technical parts, like the instruments, the techniques, safety procedures, safety measures, whether it is related to biosafety and security or chemical safety and security as well. So yeah, that's about me for now. And yeah, I also want to say that I'm a very ambitious person, and I think that normally ambitious people will face a lot of challenges and a lot of obstacles in the way of like getting their dreams and reaching the points that they want to reach. But I believe that when you are a woman, many times those challenges and obstacles will be doubled because of the gender, obviously. So I'm one of the people that definitely have faced so many challenges and like problems and things that I should not be facing, but I did just simply because I'm a woman. So I'm hoping that we will be able to exchange some opinions and perspectives here with the other colleagues. And so hopefully we will make a headway to positive changes and more progress in the field, and also supporting more women in the field. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Asan, and I'm sure you'll be getting a lot of questions COVID-related given your background. So this is definitely going to be a busy time for you.
Well, I'm just recovering from COVID. I just got it and I'm now recovering. So I can also share my own experience too.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Glad that you are feeling much better now.
Thank you very much.
Now turning to Özge. Özge, how did you become a nuclear engineer?
Hi, everyone. I'm saying hi to you from a beautiful Istanbul evening right now, and I'm in my office at the university, so I'm focused. How did I become a nuclear engineer? When I was in high school, I always wanted to create something different around me. I mean, I never put boundaries to me. I think I can say like this. And one of the most important things affected me to be able to get into in this field was the dreams of my father. Actually, this was my pushing point. So, and I knew that from the things that I have lived there in my hometown, it's a very small city. It's called Rize. You can see from my background, we have tea farm there. So I always carry it with me. Anyway, so I knew that I always wanted to be an engineer, but actually since, to be honest, since I didn't have a great mentor and I didn't have great conditions to be able to decide whatever I wanted to be. So that's why being a nuclear engineer, actually it came to me with a golden chance, let's say. So that's why after high school, while I was trying to choose which department should I be involved in, and I decided to be a nuclear engineer because I saw that at the Hacettepe University in Ankara, in Turkey, they have the first and only nuclear engineering department, 100% English. So that's why it really took my interest. I just made a research on it, and I thought that it could like be a perfect opportunity for me if I could get it, of course, and I got it, thank God. And I got in the department. So after that. And by the way, I should admit that since it was 100% English, I could open myself to the international world in an easier way than my other friends. So that's why it was another opportunity for me to be involved in that department. Anyway, after I graduated from nuclear engineering, I always say this, but since I didn't have, again, like any role model. I did have role models, but I didn't have a role model to create a path, a certain path right away. So that's why I knew that, but one thing I knew was that I wanted to continue with nuclear. So that's why I wanted to I decided to pursue my academic career with master's degree. So, but the life has other plans. So I came to ITU and I got an opportunity to be involved in a project that's about nuclear industry. So this was my first experience after graduation on nuclear industry other than my academic experience. So it was a great opportunity for me, and ITU was a great start for me after my graduation from nuclear engineering. So for a year, I have had a great experience by making nuclear need analysis for some Istanbul companies to create an idea in their minds to look for the paths how to get into this nuclear industry and nuclear world. So after 1 year, of course, I didn't do it on my own. I had a great team there. And after 1 year, I decided that I need to pursue with my master degree to be more professional. So I came to Energy Institute of ITU, some technical university, same place, and I started my master degree. And while I was involved in the academical world, since the Turkish government is getting into nuclear world, and that's why the positions and the opportunities are more these years. So they opened positions for nuclear engineers to be research assistants under a nuclear research division. So I applied and I got in. And while I was doing my master degree, and at the same time I became a research assistant, which was a great opportunity for me, by the way. So we were, we are working here with a great group of my friends, and I'm not only nuclear engineer here. So after we got these positions, and we started right away working on the research reactor we have in our Energy Institute. And as an institute, we don't have bachelor degree program. We have only master degree and PhD. So that's why this is an advantage for the research assistants of our institute, actually, because we can spare more time for our own research rather than giving lectures to bachelor degree. We support the lectures with our instructors, but mostly we can focus on our research. So that's why it's great for us. And so after my master degree, just after I finished it, I heard about this RCMF program of CRDF Global. So I decided to apply for it. Actually, I didn't think 100% that I would be chosen, but I was chosen, and it was a great opportunity for me. And So I was lucky on that, and I'm so lucky at the same time to be able to work with a great group in the US under these hard circumstances. So I never, most of the time I never felt pressure, and it was like a very comfortable environment for me to be able to continue with my fellowship program so that I can make it efficient. So that's why the people of CRDF Global like helped me to make it more efficient other than my efforts. So it was a great opportunity for me, and I thank all of you in front of everyone right now for giving me such an opportunity to be able to work on nuclear security and non-proliferation policy other than my technical research. So since I mentioned before also, I'm a nuclear engineer, so I have a technical background. Before being an RCMF fellow, I didn't get into this nuclear security and non-proliferation policy world so much, so that's why it was like first and one of the best opportunities for me to be able to get in this field. Actually, before I became the fellow, of course, I got in, or I had the opportunities to be involved in some workshops on nuclear security in Turkey, in South Korea, but this one was the most extensive one, and so that's why now I feel I'm in the field. So
okay, we could not be even happier to work with you. And we always love your dynamism and encouragement for other women in nuclear. On that happy note, I'm going to turn to our next speaker, Sylvia, who is going to be not only introducing herself, but following how she got into security in South Asia. She will also be introducing us to a chapter from the best practice guide that she co-authored. Welcome on board, Sylvia.
Hi, Nilsu. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on board. It is extremely inspiring to be on a panel with such women who are so accomplished in their own fields and in their own right. It has been a very productive and engaging last 8 months working on the CRDF Best Practices Guide. I have learned so much working and co-authoring with my two fantastic colleagues and co-authors, Kimi Ma and Kate Hewitt. It would be certainly remiss of me if I do not mention that we have been so privileged that from the start of the project, we had the guidance of two exceptional women, Susan King and Nilsu Goran yourself, for providing us with direction, with inputs and timely advice on the project. So we're very thankful for that. I got involved in the field when I started working on India-US defense and security cooperation at a premier think tank in New Delhi. Important aspect of India-US cooperation, I was specifically focused on security issues, was the 123 nuclear agreement signed between the two countries. And as and how I forayed on the nuclear domain and nuclear side of things, I often got told that nuclear was a technical subject, not really meant for women. And I was often asked to stick to geopolitics and diplomacy. But I had this unshakable belief in the fact that because WMD policies impact women equally as men, therefore there needs to be concerted effort to bolster gender equity in WMD policy. This faith and also the personal investment of certain mentors helped me to make a foray in this field. And I could not be more fortunate and grateful for these conversations, even this conversation that we are having today, which definitely is adding to the momentum where we can possibly and potentially see a distinct change in terms of how WMD policies is being formulated and rolled out, which is so essential for everyone to have a say, and especially for women and women of color to equally partake in these policy formulation. Moving over and talking about today's topic on the concept of tokenization, definitely it was one of the harder chapters to write. Also because of the fact that myself being a woman of color and an immigrant in the United States, there has been several hurdles a woman faces, not only because of her gender, but also because of her race. And so we were very careful in how we wanted to structure the chapter. And I always like to flag what was our research methodology for the chapter. And we did both primary research in terms of speaking to a lot of women experts and women of color who are in the field, and also try to do a deep survey of the literature which is focused on tokenization. So I would briefly explain what we mean and how we frame the term tokenization in our chapter. We try to showcase that we do not mean when we speak tokenization as someone who is undeserving, but tokenization happens when there is a focus, if I may, there's a hyper focus on someone's gender and or the person's race, which essentially detracts from her professional qualification and credential. And just to make what we are trying to explain more clearer, I'll give an example. Often we have come across several conferences that takes place. There's an all-male panel, but also there's a single woman who is a woman of color. So automatically, like, it is perceived by the larger public that the person of color, the woman of color is there because, not because of her credentials, but rather because of her race, rather because of the color of her skin, and also because of the fact that she's a woman. And so that for the optics of it, that the conference does not come across as a male conference or a man, like man friends or a manel, she's there. So this kind of tokenism like puts like an inordinate amount of pressure on women. For example, we did a deep scan of several organizational psychological studies, especially this study which was conducted by Cantor, where he espoused that this kind of pressure where there's only one woman in an organization or a very handful of women being portrayed for a sense of quota system puts a lot of pressure in terms of like a woman's inability to deliver the best or become more productive in her work. And whilst we like try to lay out what we mean by tokenization, we also try to look at what are some of the best practices that we could adopt so as to we do not have this kind of tokenization. One of the more important inputs that we receive from a lot of women in the industry is first of all, create a network of women who are able to support one another, so that women have role models and a strong network where they can not feel this sense of just being alone or just representing a conference or a specific grant because of the fact that she's a woman. This feeling of less and like this feeling of being put in a spotlight, not because of one's qualification, but rather because of one's gender or color, is something that could be detrimental. And therefore, one of the best practices that we came up with is also conduct blind reviews for organizational hirings, and also do peer reviews when it comes to grant giving. One of the things that puts a lot of pressure on women is the fact if there's only 2 or 3 women working in a bigger research grant. So we have also advocated for the fact that there needs to be an equal number of men and women working in different grants. So these were some of the points. I would really encourage everyone to please take a look at our report, and happy to answer questions and delve deeper. I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, Sylvia, for starting the conversation about tokenization. And we are definitely looking forward to hearing from our speakers about their personal experiences in the profession, about when they felt that they were overemphasized on the gender aspect for their contributions more so than their professional background. So I would like to turn to our speakers for sharing their reactions, how they responded and how they reacted, and if you were personally affected by gender being overemphasized over your professional contributions.
Can I
Would
go
like
first?
to go first? Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Hassan.
Sure. Thank you. So definitely I've seen it and I've experienced it myself, especially at some events and in my workplace. Sometimes when we are forming committees, when we are working on a new project or embarking a new program, I felt that like personally what I felt was that I've been given the very basic responsibilities because there was that assumption about me that this is how much I can handle and this is how much expertise and skills I have. When in reality, I think I was more than qualified to take on the bigger challenges and the more complex challenges. And I usually love these challenges, and I get more enthusiastic when we are trying to solve a bigger problem. I think I become more productive and more interested in the project or the program, whatever we do. But definitely that's what I felt sometimes. Of course, there are other times that I was appreciated because of my actual qualifications and skills, but there are definitely those other times that I was definitely being tokenized. And how it affected me, I would say that when you are tokenized, the first thing that, or my response would be, I became very dismotivated, you become very discouraged, because if that is what is accepted from you or expected from you, that's how you're going to act. And I felt that I could do more, I could give more and definitely contribute more. But because of that stress, as Sylvia was saying, because that tokenization creates a stress on women or anybody that is facing it, and it does not allow you to show your actual abilities and to make the contributions that you definitely want to. Yeah, so for now, that's what I have to say about my own experience.
Thank you, Assam, for sharing.
You're welcome.
Well, actually,
Okay, please just.
oh, if you allow me, actually, I experienced many difficulties also, according to my gender and not my achievements. You know, I have been an employee in the government for about 29 years, and it's a long time. So I experienced a lot of issues due to, according to these topics. Some of them, they put you in a lot of pressure, and when you achieve something and you achieve the goal or make the project work, they say, oh, it's ours, we did it, you know, something like that. And then they really don't recognize you as you are an effective colleague or an effective person who participated in this project. So, well, actually, I didn't go with them in some things like that. What I wanted to say is I made hard work, and I made them realize me and realize my work, so they can't deny it. That's what I did. But after a lot of sufferings and after a lot of, tokenizations, especially in conferences, and when it comes to conferences, and our work is participated in this conference, and we are expecting to go and participate in it and make it work, they send someone else, something like that. Why? Because you're a woman, you have families, you have another responsibilities, etc., 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 and something like that. Especially especially we are vets in Iraq. We really, I mean, women veterinarians had a lot of experience like that. That's all.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Ban. Özge, I think you wanted to chime in as well.
I cannot say that I directly faced with something like this, because like we have a small community in Turkey, and that's why all of us is needed. So that's why I didn't directly face with something like this. But one of the reasons is that, for example, I'm a research assistant and I mostly do my analysis with my PC, and we don't have a very extensive lab environment. That's why maybe I didn't face with something like this directly. But I, as a nuclear engineer, I've seen something like, for example, a position was opened, and the position was opened for a specialist, and then they were going to take one person, and they were talking about this before also. It was a position to be able to work on lab environment, by the way. And they were also talking about this, like we should take we should hire a man because he can carry this, he can carry that, or he can jump into this, or he can work late and blah blah, and then he can do more. So that's why I've heard this. And then the interviews came. One person applied, and it was a woman. So she applied, she went through all these things. I just didn't pay attention so much because it was out of my specialty or out of my field. So that's why, but I was just following the process under the organization. So I learned that they didn't just take her, and they didn't take anyone. So they need a specialist, but I am like 70% sure that she could do it. I mean, she was able to do that job, because I don't know her like very well. That's why I just cannot be sure 100%. That's why I'm not saying that because she's a woman, she cannot do it. She surely could do that. So that's why this really disturbed me. But maybe if I faced with it, or maybe it was something that I could get into and I could do something, I would surely do something, because it really like made me angry at that time. So I realized that it doesn't mean that I didn't face so much around me, and before that I realized that I didn't pay attention that much, and before seeing this extensive work that you people do, actually, to be honest, I didn't realize that this was like at this level actually. So that's why it really disturbed me, because they need a specialist for sure, and that lab environment is needed to be improved for sure, and we need more people in for sure, but they just didn't take, because like she couldn't, they thought that she was not able to do that. Actually, I'm sure that just in terms of physical power, she was 100% able to do that. I'm sure of that. I don't know the technical background or the capability because I don't know her. But in terms of physical power, I'm sure, because, you know, I always talk about this, but in Back Rize, we have tea fields, and our women just carry 50 kgs or 70 kgs tea bags every season. I mean, just we're 100% are able to do something like that. So that shouldn't have been only reason. I really felt bad, and I think now if that day comes again, and if I was there again, I think I would do more. But this is only for this tokenization, of course. I mean, just the gender was emphasized over our contributions. But other than this, of course, we have different difficulties in the field. Like I just talk about this lab environment and our physical power in terms of other people. But other than all these things, of course, I faced several problems before, just because I was woman. And it didn't start after I got into the field, by the way. It started when I was in high school. Just because I was a girl, I really had to try much more than others, because I had this public pressure on me too. Because if you are a boy, you know, it's so easy for you. You can go home late, like for some families, of course, not all the families, like mine was really comfortable with that. But the thing is that the public pressure and the sentences of people and everyone's perspective, oh my gosh, it was really hard to deal with for us, I mean, for girls. For example, one of my friends, she wanted to be a mathematician, but the thing is that the department she wanted, it was away from Rize, so her family didn't let her to go so far away from Rize. So that's why she couldn't be a mathematician. She became a nurse instead. So back then, we were feeling sorry, we were not able to do so many things. But if I face something like this nowadays, I mean, in my environment, I always have some things to say till I explode people's brains, by the way. I do that, and people are bored of me in terms of this, but I don't care about that. Especially I do it in when I go just and talk to my relatives, and I realize that my uncles has changed after my pursuing after I pursued in my career. I mean, they've changed their minds. I realized that, because they were not letting their kids, or they were not allowing their kids to do more, but now they do, because they see me, I talk to them, and then my cousins call me. It's enough that I talk to my uncles, and then it's done. Like, that's why
believe me, we are all on the same page about showing people our perseverance. But the second question that I'm actually going to pose to all of our speakers is something that I went through quite a bit. So I want you to also think about missing opportunities because you are being tokenized. Have you ever experienced a case where you are being introduced into a project or a position or a panel, and it is very clear that they are inviting you because you are a woman? So what is your strategy in addressing these situations in which you really don't want to miss the opportunity, but it should be that it's your professional background and knowledge and expertise that is making that contribution, and not the fact that you should be the token woman? So I'm curious to hear from our speakers on their experiences with that. Let me turn to you, Asan, and Dr. Ban first, to see if you have experienced such a situation, and what would you give as advice to women who are trying to make a name in the field but be known for their contributions and expertise?
Well, sorry, would you like to speak, Asan, or I
No,
will
it's
speak?
fine. No, it's fine. You can go first.
Okay. Well, actually, here in Iraq, there are many lost opportunities, such as not a few years ago, or maybe last year, I had many positions, which is my specialty, and my experience and my years of work. I am the most qualified one for it, but they, because I'm a woman, they didn't give me this position. If you have interviews in anywhere else in Iraq, there is no interviews, no interviews, no, they don't look at your qualifications or contributions or anything else. They bring a man, then the one they like, and put it in that position. Such as now, my manager, I was the deputy of the head managers for so many years, and I must be the manager of the department now. And the manager they brought and put it in my position. And the thing is that all of the employees and colleagues and managers, I know that this position is for me, you know. I'm speaking specifically about me because I had this experience then, and they came and, you know, they congratulated me, Dr. Ban, it's really your position and you're going to be the head manager, also, etc. etc. And then I was, wow, shocked. They set the position for another one because you're a woman, you can deal with these sort of you know, sort of things. Why? I just want to ask why. And then I dealt with them, and now all the work and all the, you know, projects and work and situations, sometimes there are situations and pressure in the department that needs resolvements. we do it, we and the team, me and the team, because I believe in teamwork. I really love my team, and I care for them and help them a lot so they can help me. We have a saying in Iraq that one hand doesn't clap, a hand alone doesn't clap. So, but when we came to this new manager of ours, he is so away from us. He is in a path and we are in a different path. And all the work we are going to do it, and he is producing it in his name. So don't tell me there is no, this is the situation, the real situation in Iraq right now. And in all of, not in just my corporation, in all of the companies or any, government ministries in Iraq. And well, I think if I need to resolve this kind of situation, and it needs it needs more work along the years, and not just in this time, but we need more awareness and knowledge, and we need to back up women, because they hire 5 men and 1 woman. Why is it? And this woman is going to be more active and more productive than all of those 5 men they hired. And I actually seen it on real life in my work. I don't depend on my work. I don't depend very much on men, because they give you the work, not, they don't finish it with all the aspects. There always something missing, There are not punctual also. But when you give it to a woman, and when she puts her mind in this work, she produces it in a very, how would you say it, professional way, something like that. So I think we need more awareness, more knowledge. We must back up women. Women must back up women. The women with the between themselves must back up women and help one another, even in their project. Because when when women help each other, they can produce the project and make it recognized. They must make it recognized, because I think because women, they put their whole heart in the work, so they can achieve their goals. And
Dr. Ban, thank you so much.
Yes.
And you also actually answered one of the questions that we had received
Okay.
from the audience about the percentage of women, where you clearly said there's a significant discrimination against the number of women in the particular case of Iraq. So we thank the audience for that question too. Ahsan, did you want to chime in as well about a situation where you are approached not because you're an expert in your field, but because you're a woman and you really don't want to lose that opportunity? How should we react to those situations?
Well, I think as Ozge and Dr. Ban said, and I totally agree with them, is that just because you're being tokenized or you're being treated in a way that you are not supposed to, it doesn't mean that you should stop or should stop pursuing your dreams and your goals. I would definitely encourage all the girls, including myself and all the women, to continue pursuing their careers, to their advancement in their careers, whatever degree they want, whatever opportunity they want to take in. And at the end of the day, they will shine, because if you give too much, and I again agree with Dr. Ban in that women are more like aggressive when they want to achieve something, and that's what I see in my students. Normally women have bigger ambitions and bigger goals, and they are more aggressive in accomplishing them. So it doesn't mean that you should stop, or definitely sometimes it gets frustrating. You become dismotivated and discouraged, but still you have to try to pursue your goals and do your best. And at the end of the day, you are going to shine, and you have to force everyone to recognize you and even if initially they overlook your qualities and qualifications, you have to prove yourself. And definitely women have to prove themselves and ourselves again and again and again, but it is worth it. And hopefully the generations to come after us, they will not suffer as much as we did, but we have to start from somewhere. And it might sound cliche, but I think change has to start from yourself first. And for me, for example, I always encourage my students, even the male and the female, I don't discriminate between them. I always encourage them to pursue bigger dreams and have bigger goals and not be afraid of challenges and obstacles that might come their way. So definitely, and also I want to say that I really appreciate such opportunities like this, where we are given the chance to speak, even if it's just for a woman, from woman to woman. But definitely this is very critical in making some change, even if it's a smaller change. And also supporting groups or organizations that are just there to support women and like make networks just for women. I think these are some of the key changes that we can make to see some progress in this field or this area. So definitely I would encourage myself and everyone not to stop pursuing their dreams and their achievements, and just stand strong against all the obstacles and the discriminations and tokenizations, definitely.
Thank you very much, Asan. What is quite fascinating is that Özge, yourself and Dr. Ban all referred to challenges at the workplace about positions that you qualify for, the requirements or discrimination on the basis of gender. And moving past the selection criteria, I would like to turn to Kimi to get us introduced to another chapter from the Best Practice Guide, where we will also be diving more into the work environment and what are some desired outcomes beyond the supposedly only path for women, so that we can broaden the conversation on that. So Kimi, take away.
Thank you, Nilsu. So I think this chapter was very easy to write because we had gotten so much input from women who were in the industry and the government who had experienced this, but it was hard to find data. So ultimately the chapter was based on like what they were saying, and then we built a lot of solutions to counter what they had been experiencing. So the supposed only path, it kind of is a misleading title, but what we meant was that a lot of women who are trying to navigate like STEM or national security career paths find themselves feeling kind of trapped or in this tunnel vision where they really only have a couple or like one option. So it's either that you go into national security and you just kind of like slowly go up the ranks, or you go into STEM and you slowly go up the ranks. Where in reality, given connections, knowledge, mentorship, you can actually bounce back and forth, because we've stated before there's a lot of interconnectivity between STEM and national security work. Unfortunately, you do see like people siloed within STEM or national security, and you don't really see a lot of the movement of people in between those. And we hope that also that in the future that generations start to understand that they can, as long as they want to and have like the interest in doing so, that they can be from academia into industry to government, back and forth, or they can do both at the same time. Whatever, you know, their dreams are, they can go in and chase after it. So that was, I wanted to use that as an intro and also as a clarification, because I think it can be a very confusing title. And also this is one I think where we all want to not feel restricted, right, when it comes to our futures and our career paths. So I hope that this can, you know, start off a good conversation on how to be flexible, and also how to help other women or from like men helping women to gain what they want to do in the future.
Thank you very much, Kimi, for thought-provoking per usual. On that note, I would like to turn to you, Özge, to share a piece of advice that you have received from a mentor, and what's your best advice for girls who are studying in the STEM fields, who are looking into entering the field?
The thing is that, I mean, just one of the most important things I have realized recently is that we need more leading figures, more leading like woman figures in the field for sure. I've realized this because back in my bachelor degree, we had only one woman instructor, and she really she was kind of my mentor, and I was always going to her to take her advices and opinions. That really helped me because she could see the way from my eyes. I mean, as a woman, that's why it was much easier for me to get feedback from her than the others. So that's why I realized that we need more leading woman figures for sure. And in this, I mean, we're all in this, and we need men to put the feedback into this too. So that's why we just cannot do it on our own. All the people should be aware of this, and we need to work on this all together. And one of the other things that I realized that if I had a mentor when I was in my high school, I mean, when it was my high school years, maybe I could become much better. I've realized this too. So that's why I think it's really important to have a role model from the beginning, like while you are trying to create a path in your mind. Of course, just people create paths in their minds, like I did too, but everything doesn't go according to the path 100%. But the thing is that it's important that you have one. So that's why I think one of the most important points in this is that we need for sure more leading woman figures in this field. And my advice to the girls that want to get into this field is that as an engineer, I can say, or I can talk to the high school girls. I mean, if I had the chance to be able to talk to the girls from high school, I would say that you need to be ready to sacrifice your time and some things that you really like time to time to be able to support the future for the other girls coming after you. And then that's why this is one of the most important things I can say. And you need to really put in your mind that if you, I mean, you need to question yourself. You really want it or not? If you really want it, what should you do? And you shouldn't put boundaries in your mind at all. I mean, maybe this is cliche, or all the time I say this, I don't know, I just don't want to get into it so much, but the thing is that it's really important for me. One of the things that I realized before also, it was that, I mean, people, girls or boys, mostly girls, they put boundaries in their minds that, okay, I'm just gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then, okay, that's gonna be enough for me. But it shouldn't be like that. So even though when I was trying to grow up in my hometown, I always dreamed myself outside, I don't know, outside of my boundaries, outside of Rize, outside of Turkey. All the time I dreamed of this. And even though I knew that it was not going to be possible, maybe, but I didn't say that it's not going to be possible at all. So that's why it really helped me, because like in my brain, it was working. You don't realize it, but it's working if you think about it all the time. That's why now some of my friends from high school, they come and tell me that, Özge, you were right. Özge, you were right. And so many people, I've heard this. So that's why one of the most important advices that I can give to the girls entering into this field is that they need to decide if they are gonna really like it or not, by taking the opinions and advices of the other people in the field. And after getting into the field, they need to be ready to sacrifice for the future. And as Hasan mentioned, and it's a really good point, by the way, maybe the next generations, they're not going to be faced with this kind of things as much as we did. But the thing is that they're going to still be facing with it. So that's why, like we are trying to improve it, and like we are trying to make people hear our voices, the next generation also should do the same, actually should do the more. Now I'm mentor to others, but I wish that I had a big sister, or I wish that I had another role model when I was in high school, so that maybe I could become much better in this. But I'm not complaining because of the place that I'm at right now. I'm so happy with it. But the thing is that still, it could be much different. So that's why this is one of the most important things I could say.
Glad that you have become a mentor yourself. And I'm actually going to now turn to Sylvia, because I know that Sylvia is one of the leading mentors with Whitecaps. And
Can
I'm
I
curious.
say, sorry, can I say something, but just a little bit something, add something little?
Sure.
There is something we must have in mind. We must be proud we are women. There's nothing of being ashamed of. We are women. We have our personality, our charisma. We must be proud that we are women, because women is a woman. We don't want to be men, and we don't want to be like men. We want to be women that achieve goals, you know, and the women who take large responsibilities and be good in those projects or in those responsibilities or projects or any work she is doing. I'm just going to say that. So many girls, such as you say, oh, I'm a girl, I'm a girl, I'm a girl. No, now I have 3 girls. I have 3 girls of my own, and I don't let them feel, I make them feel, and I have 1 boy. I make them feel they are the same as the boy. I never make, you know, you can do this and you can do that. Never. So we, from I think from the high school, the parents, the society, the school, they must make the girl be proud that she is a girl. It's not something that it's not something wrong that she is being a girl, because girls have their way ahead of them. You know, they have many things they can achieve, even more than a boy. You know, medically, the boy can, his mind can concentrate on only doing one thing, but the girl, the mind is our mind is created by God, and this is, I'm talking scientifically, she can concentrate in 10 things at the same time. So that is the mother, when she can, you know, she can cook and feed and wash and study for the kids all in the same time. It's not difficult for it, but the man, it's very difficult for it. So they need to know their position, they need to value themselves. So that's all.
Thank you, Dr. Ban.
Sorry
Sylvia.
for the interruption.
No, thank you very much for the contribution. Sylvia, your best advice for girls going into the CBRN space and national security?
Thank you, Nilsu, for the question. So I've actually been fortunate to, you know, mentored by several leading, very strong, badass women in the field. Ambassador Bonnie Jenkins, Ambassador Susan Burke. So one of the things that I learned from them, and they continuously mention this, is extend a larger table and pay it forward, which means that if one has received a training, professional development training, one should be able to pay it forward by extending a helping hand to the more younger people who are joining the field. And I think there's a lot of value in this advice, because throughout the sinews of our report, one thing that has been prevalent in pretty much every chapter is the lack of visible role models. The fact that we are, and especially younger women, are not able to see women scientists who have been underrepresented in their scientific contributions, or even women in national security whose accomplishments are not as prominently made available to a larger crowd, that creates this very difficult and systemic problem of the lack of visibility of role models. To break that, I think we, in every of our chapter in different ways, have advocated for the importance of having visible role model in terms of creating a greater network where women and younger women can feel that there's a safe space where they can talk about or seek advice of to develop their career pathways. And it is an extremely exciting and fascinating time, because now we are having these conversations right now in the United States. And as we know, like, because of US's soft power, when US leads and takes forward a conversation, a lot of the other countries follow suit. For example, I grew up in India, and and during this COVID era, this organization which has been following the webinars that has been happening in India, they've come out with this record. During the last 6 months in India, there were almost 95 webinars hosted, out of which these 95 webinars hosted 719 men and 23 women. So this lack of disparity and this gender gap, which is so visible in different parts of our globe, and this conversation that needs to be changed, because we need to bridge that gender gap. One of the best ways is possibly to extend a helping hand, creating a bigger table, developing these boisterous networks, and paying it forward. I'm so pleased to say that because of some of these programs that are coming up, and I would really encourage everyone on this panel today to take a look. There's WCAPS. Please join the network, because it creates a listserv of 500 plus women who are experts in their own right, so that conference organizers do not get an alibi to say, well, there were not enough women for us to reach out, or who agreed to do. Well, there are many women experts. One has to do their homework, right? And also, secondly, to say there are several organizations, for example, the Nuclear Fusion Project, or Enriched, which are looking at mentors like ourselves, where you can sign up and provide guidance and mentorship. I have been fortunate to speak to several mentees, and I just would want to add that it is an extremely rewarding process, because it's not one way. It's very mutual. Of course, you get to learn from them, and they're so buzzing with ideas that you always it becomes a very fulfilling process to speak to these younger professionals. So I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. Also demystifying the fact that usually the answer is there were no women who were experts in this field. Sam, we received a question for you from our audience, and it has to do with whether you think this isolation between the STEM fields and national security careers is an international phenomenon, especially because you are in the biomedicine field. Do you think that, much like the case made in the best practice guide that Kimi provided an overview, that these careers are considered to be separate from one another?
Yeah, definitely. I have to say that for my country, Iraq, that's the case. So we don't have that flexibility to be able to mix and match between several expertise and involve in several things at the same time, and to cross from one program to the other, or from one area to the other, and mix them. So definitely what I can speak for my country is that that's the case, and I think that's the case in many other countries. And if we were able to be provided with opportunities like this, for example, embarking on projects that involve more than one field, I think that would be more productive, and the outcomes will be much, much better. But unfortunately, I think we are taking baby steps towards that. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Assam, for providing perspective. I would like to pose the next question to Dr. Ban about whether or not you had options ahead of you following your education and career, and what type of mentorship we could provide for women who are entering, let's say, your field, veterinary science, about the options they have ahead.
Well, at my time, I didn't have many options, but nowadays is different. The the awareness, the knowledge, all it's different. And our generation are mentoring the generation is coming. We are so sincere to them. We are guiding them and telling them what to do, solving their problems, and all sorts of kind of things. That is, I think it's, we really need a good mentor is really and definitely a very important thing. I was lucky. I was the one who was lucky who had a really good mentor. And I also remember very well, he said, your work speaks for you, something like that, you know. So I think in Iraq, it's, well, it's achieving day after day. It's, I don't know what to say. Could you repeat it, please, if I missed something?
No, absolutely. Providing girls with more options in the field that they don't have to choose between their education and career. Mm-hmm.
Well, you see, in Iraq, it's not, they don't have many options to choose because they are, you know, they have the grades. Their grades they have to deal with their grades, and they go to the college, which their grades are specific to it, and then they will deal with it. If they stay in that college, they like it, or they go transfer to another specialty or something like that. So no, there are not very many options, unfortunately.
That is quite unfortunate. I actually wanted to turn to
but
Kimi.
you know, sorry, but you know, if you have, you know, a good mentor, maybe parents or something, so they can guide them and tell them especially what to do. I haven't, when I was in that, at that time, I didn't have a mentor. So I randomly, I made it some things randomly, but I was, you know, I liked veterinary medicine, but others, you know, they need someone to guide them and tell them especially what to do, because they lack of knowledge. They don't know, they need to go with them step by step, you know what I mean? So they can tell them the advantages and disadvantages of this one and that one, so they can choose. They have the ability to choose.
Absolutely. Let me turn to you, Kimi, for some of your findings and best practices, and if you wanted to elaborate from your findings, especially on the US side, and also your personal experiences that you could share about knowing what the next options look like for you.
Thanks, Nilsu. I mean, I think I'm a little intimidated sometimes when I look at the people on this panel, because I think I'm the youngest in terms of like figuring out my career, and like I am in that step where I want to know what my options are, right? And similarly, I've been very lucky that I have connected with both men and women who are in both kind of like, I'm in that like fence of like science and security, and I have mentors on both sides. And they've taught me a lot about my options. So ultimately, right, the answer that we found in the guide is that mentorship programs, networks are the answer, because personal experience from multiple people and perspectives gives you a lot of knowledge, and knowledge is power in terms of being able to understand like what you need to do. I think something that I did want to highlight is the idea of not just like individual mentorship, but systemically like creating something to support women. Because something that I wanted to highlight is this idea kind of feeling feeling responsible for the next generation. Because like I feel that too, but I also, we kind of shouldn't have to, right? Like that's a lot of pressure and a lot of a burden for every single woman that goes into a field. Like think about like, I don't know, like the first nuclear engineer, first biologist who was a woman, right? Think about like if she had to think, oh my gosh, all I can think about is who I have to mentor or who I have to like raise, also a woman, like for the next step. That's a lot. And so what we should be doing instead is between organizations, between cities, countries, etc., creating more of a buoyancy so that women who want to go into these fields can focus on their career and not about like finding the person that they need in order to get to that next step. So that's kind of from both a very like personal soapbox standpoint and also what we figured out in our interviews and research while writing the guide.
Could not agree more. Empowered women empower other women, but at the same time, juggling multiple priorities. Several of our speakers today mentioned family priorities, raising kids, juggling their work, and also their academic responsibilities. So that is definitely a full plate. And also mentoring girls and providing them options is something that we are all carrying on our shoulders. On that note, while we do still have 5 minutes left for questions and answers, I know Kimi and the team, the Best Practice Guide team, along with, of course, our wonderful co-authors, we have Sylvia today online, have worked tremendously over the course of several months to have a series of engagements in this webinar series. And today we have the honor of closing those webinar series. We are very engaged and invested in these conversations, not just through the Best Practice Guide and these webinar series, but also our continuous programming. As you have seen, we have had alumni in our fellowship programs that we have brought along today for you to get to meet them and hear from their experiences. I know, Kimi, you have a lot of thoughts that you would like to share about what the next steps would entail with this project and the ongoing initiatives that we have at CRDF Global. But for the audience, please, we will still be monitoring the chat box and the Q&A boxes for the last 5 minutes we have. And I'll turn it over to Kimi for your final remarks.
Thanks, Nilsu. So I just saw one of the questions and it's a quick one. Well, thank you again for everyone for attending this webinar, for attending all 3 sessions, if you could make any of them. This series was very near and dear to my heart, both personally as a woman in STEM and national security work, as a CRDF Global representative, and well, let's just first say the recordings for all of the webinars, like all of them have been recorded, and we will be sharing this one, of course. If you would like to reach out, my email should be in the original registration page. If you would like to get any of the previous recordings, please just reach out to me personally and I will link you to it. We have welcomed over 100, almost 200, I think, participants, attendees, panelists from around the world, all different time zones and sectors and fields, and I'm so excited and grateful for that. I would like to extend a really enthusiastic thank you to all the people who have been panelists, who have been on the team creating the series, and especially to CRDF Global for giving me and the team an opportunity to kind of just go wild with this and make this like the dream webinar series that we wanted to make it. From here on out, CRDF Global will be having some, well, hopefully once COVID calms down, some regional events where we will be inviting people in certain regions, particularly centered around our offices, to celebrate both STEM and security in terms of what is at those regions, and also like having roundtables and discussions about where we can go from there. And we hope that once we can get those down on the ground and planned, that we can send out all the invitations, and hopefully everyone or some people here who happen to be in those regions can attend. Oh, we did have a question, but I will address that later. I just hope that this is the beginning of a conversation rather than today being the end, that it was informative and that's inspiring, and that you can bring it back to your families, your workplaces, etc., to continue to further build up gender equity in whatever sector and whatever region of the world you are in. So, Nilsu, do you want to bring up this last question before you close it out?
Absolutely, and I'm gonna pick on Sylvia to support women how can women support each other more proactively in the workspace to bring us home?
Thank you, Nilsu, and also thank you, Susan, for the really good question. I think one of the important things that I felt really works is amplifying each other's voices and amplifying and spotlighting each other's work. I think that that provides tremendous value. From Joan at the Nuclear Threat Initiative, I learned, and also this is something that she mentioned in one of the CRDF conferences, is that one of the policies that she learned during her time at the White House was essentially to repeat, or if a woman's voice is, or the point she makes at a conference or a workplace is not being properly highlighted, to echo and amplify and spotlight her work or what she has said. I think by doing this, you once again make a concerted effort to show that, well, this is the kind of work and expertise and knowledge that she brings to the table. So I think, yeah, so I would say that amplifying and bolstering each other's work and voices is extremely important.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. This calls for more webinar series like this. So the Women in Science and Security Initiative, keep up the good work. And we thank all of the participants for your time, and of course our wonderful speakers for joining us today. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.